bet you've heard of Nuzlocks, and I will also bet the soul of my unborn child that you've heard of food. So let's combine these two things together, because I have way too much time on my hands. Today I'm going to attempt my first and only Lasagna Nuzlocke. Basically, for the people in the back, a Nuzlocke is a rule set that makes the thing you're doing way harder to complete. For the Lasagna Nuzlocke, the rule set says that all of my materials will be in unmarked see-through jars, and I have to pick them without knowing what is really inside of them. The goal at the end of this Nuzlocke is to make something that is somewhat edible so I can feed it to my brother when he starts whining about being hungry. Anyways, here are the ingredients for others wanting to try. Basically, you need some lasagna noodles, olive oil, dead cow, dead garlic, dried origami, salt, pepper that's grounded, 3 whole different types of cheese, a very large egg, 2 jars of that red sauce, and parsley. Of course, these will be in clear, unmarked jars along with some other red herrings. With all of that said, let's begin the Lasagna Nuzlocke. I first had to start by washing all of the dishes, or else my conscience and my non-existent common sense would be screaming at me too loud. After basically washing my hands for 15 minutes, I recapped on what I'm doing with my life. As moving the twist button to make the oven turn on was scary, I lit the oven on fire at exactly 375 degrees Fahrenheit. It was time for my first of many trips to the pantry. I opened the pantry, and oh my god. So it turns out when I said a few red herrings, I meant there were a lot. Like, sure, the pasta and the beef was easy enough, but the cheese and the salt? Like, is it really worth it at this point? Yes. So I chose the ones that looked cool. I set up this big pot that I filled with boiling water and sprinkled in some of the stuff that may or may not be salt and dumped in the pasta. I really like pasta because you can't mess it up. I cooked it for like 2 minutes while messing up the pasta before I drained it and turned my sink into a steamy hot bath. I then drizzled some olive oil that may have been canola oil onto the pasta so it won't stick together like your bare thighs in the car seat on a 100-degree Fahrenheit day. In another pot, the stuff that looks like beef is cooking and sizzling on the canola/olive oil. And after it was done, I drained the oil and threw it away because that stuff clogs people's sinks. Just kidding, I chugged it. Just kidding, I put it in the sink because by now I was on my last brain cells. I then added the epic garlic and oregano into the drained beef, and I seasoned it with the sugar/salt and the not pepper, which I hoped was pepper, but let's be honest, I couldn't care less at this point. But then I had to put in some of that red sauce because WikiHow told me to, and it may have been ketchup. Honestly, I don't even know the difference because both are red and both are made from tomatoes. Again, I dumped it in and stirred until it was somewhat good. Like, I'm not a chef. I bet that rat in Ratatouille probably had chef steroids or something, because a rat that has that kind of cognitive function is just towing the line that is in between creativity and insanity. Speaking of insanity, let's take some ricotta, some Parmesan, the big egg, and some of the parsley and ditch it in the bowl. After mixing the cheese mixture, I seasoned it with some of the sugar/salt and set it aside. I was in the end game now, and it was time to make the lasagna stack. With this casserole dish I didn't even know my family had, I spread the meat sauce across the bottom, put a layer of lasagna noodles next, another layer of the questionable cheese mixture, and another of some mozzarella that may also not have been mozzarella. I had to repeat this until I reached the top. Finally, I covered the top layer with some debatable mozzarella and covered the whole thing with foil. I brought it over to the oven, which has been on fire this whole time, and baked it for about 15 or so minutes. After doing absolutely nothing with my time, I threw a few more matchsticks into the fire to raise the temperature about 25 degrees more, and then I took off the foil with my bare hands. I again thrust it into the fire, and with 20 minutes more of watching my remaining brain cells wither away, I took it out of the embers, and I really don't think my brother would want to eat this.
Want to just get Domino's?
Sure.